and for affordable, sane, well-designed portability, solid build quality. Display is touch-enabled, runs on battery, cons mediocre performance. Average display, keyboard is fatiguing. HP has shied away from experimentation these days, most notably with the Spectre foldable PC. And the Envy Move isn't quite as flashy, but it's no less adventurous. It's a little bit of an all-in-one PC, meaning the guts of the PC are packed inside the display enclosure, or what is going to be Intuit space. The Envy Move takes it one step further, designed to be particularly easy to carry around. Thanks to the battery inside, it functions all portable desktop. It's a neat idea, but unfortunately, the performance and display give it a questionable overall value. And they were supporting the Avenue game, have had this educator from its use. So 1 2 inches is the reset in the audio point, and then the 9 is Spredge 2. The Paintfine webcam audio dual. 5-watt webcam was 6 or Wi-Fi 6E, Bluetooth 5.2 or 5.3. Price $750 plus. The Envy Move starts at $900, currently on sale for a Core i3 1315U CPU, 8 gig of RAM, a 256 of SSD, and a 23 8-inch IPS display. The high information is about $1,210 for a Core i5 1355U, 16 gigabytes of RAM, and a 1 terabyte SSD. There are no discrete GPU options with integrated all configurations. And those prices are attractive for an AIO, particularly on sale. Throw in the unique design, and you think this was a rather good deal. But there are some serious compromises involved, particularly in terms of the performance and display, and a few features from Envy Move's portable design. First is its weight, which comes in at 9 pounds for the IO itself. That's not a huge advantage, being only 2.5 pounds lighter than HP's AIO 24, a more mainstream machine with the same 23.8-inch display size. It's certainly no laptop for that matter. Even so, the Envy Move is just light enough to be manageable, lugging it from place to place. At the same time, the Envy Move also has a handle on top and a pocket in the back for holding the bundled keyboard. Place the keyboard in the window, pocket, grab the handle, lift the AIO off the desk, and the feet swivel toward the center where they're out of the way. Place it back on a flat surface, and the feet swivel outward while the entire enclosure leans back at a more comfortable angle. Grab the keyboard from the pocket, and you're ready to work. It's a clever design overall. They extend the move easier to, well, move around. I imagine the design will be most attractive to hybrid workers without a dedicated home office, or ones who want more flexibility and a laptop doesn't provide enough screen real estate. HP talks about various other uses around the home, such as moving the PC from a family room to an exercise room. In theory, those are interesting uses and make the Envy Move a viable proposition. And in a real twist, on the AIO PC, the Envy Move has a battery, so you can carry around the house without dragging the power adapter with you. Certainly, it feels well built, which is a necessity for an AIO that's meant to be carted around. It's made of plastic all around, but still feels rigid enough. IOs have a more distinctive style, epitomized by the Lenovo Yoga IO9i. That is quite futuristic, and the Apple iMac, which has that company's typically elegant aesthetic. As mentioned, HP bundles a keyboard that fits into the pocket on the back of the Envy Move. The keyboard includes a touchpad, so you don't have to carry the mouse around. I found the typing feel to be just okay, with enough key spacing to be comfortable, and switches that are deep, but not terribly precise. The bottoming out action was abrupt, and the switches didn't have a lot of snappiness. Also, the keyboard isn't angled enough for me, and I found it fatiguing over time. I tend to like HP's keyboards. So this was a bit of a disappointment. And the touchpad was also just fine, although I've never been fond of its placement to the right of the keyboard.
Of course, you're not limited to using the included keyboard and touchpad combo. Any number of third-party options could fit into the pocket if that's important to you. The ND Moves display is touch-enabled, which is always welcomed on an AIO.
Connectivity is limited for a desktop with single USB-C and USB-A ports, and an upstream-only HDMI port that allows you to use the display with another PC. There's no external audio jack, meaning you're limited to the built-in speakers or Bluetooth audio.
HP clearly doesn't want you to unplug speakers and carry them around. Wireless connectivity is up to date if you select the right configuration, and unlike many desktop PCs, there's no Ethernet jack.
The webcam is a 5-megapixel version that provides excellent video quality, and an infrared camera makes logging on a breeze. The Windows 11. Hello facial recognition. There's a physical slider to block off the webcam for privacy. The NV Move also uses HP's user presence sensing technology, meaning it will lock the AIO when you walk away and wake it back up when you return. As far as desktops go, IOs rely on a great display. An IO that's meant to be used by itself without an add-on monitor is even more reliant on display quality. Unfortunately, the ND Move's 23.8-inch is only average. It's not sharp enough at the QHD resolution of 2560 x 1440, and it's in the old-school 16:9 aspect of ratio. 1440p resolution is great on a laptop-sized screen, but on one this big, I could easily see pixels when looking at text on the display. As a writer, I have very sensitive text quality, and many people might find the display's resolution to be just fine. It's certainly better than if it were 1080p. According to my colorimeter, the display offers average colors at 78% coverage of the Adobe RGB gamut and 100% of sRGB with good but not great color accuracy at a 16:2. You can heat and make me feature it with the Redway Delta E of 1.55 coming in 1.55. We've all have the key baseline for quality displays. And overall, the ND Move has a display that's just okay. It's nowhere near the Lenovo Yoga 9iO's 32-inch 4K panel that measured 640 nits of brightness, 90% Adobe RGB, and a contrast ratio of 14:10:1. Of course, that AIO is much more expensive at $1,500. Productivity users and media consumers will find the display to be just good enough. A more discerning eye would be disappointed, though. The audio is provided by a pair of 5-watt speakers tuned by Bang & Olufsen. They put out a ton of volume without distortion, and mids and highs are very clear. In addition, there's a touch of bass and some noticeable spatial effects. It's a good thing that the built-in audio is decent, given that you can't plug in extra speakers as you can with most other desktops. And if you want more, you'll have to pick wireless Bluetooth speakers.
The same goes for headphones, of course.
HP made the curious decision to use lower power 15-watt Intel Core CPUs in the ND Move, specifically a choice between the 6-core 2 performance, 4 efficient, 8-thread Core i3 1315U, or the 10-core 2 performance and 8 efficient, 12-thread Core i5 1355U. It seems like the NV Move's chassis and cooling system could have been built around faster chips such as the 28-watt P-Series.
The Yoga 9i AIO uses the 45-watt Core i9 3900H, a much faster chip, even though its components are packed into a smaller base.
And as such, the NV Moves is not just appointing for a desktop. Looking at our suite of benchmarks, HP's AIO comes in dead last and by a fair margin. Again, I need to stress that the Envy Move is considerably less expensive than the comparison group, but a low price can't make up for performance that isn't fast enough. I would certainly wouldn't recommend the Core i3 model, which comes with tuned performance and cores. If you're using the Envy Move for typical productivity uses like email, web browsing, and office applications, as well as media consumption, and you'll be okay with the performance of the Core i5 configuration. But if you need to perform demanding tasks, including creative work, and you'll want to spend more money, that's just a rule. To Geekbench, maybe it's a very high, maybe a possible line, possible, you know, it's
if there's force supports that
and I didn't realize the Envy Move has an 82 watt-hour battery inside.
Battery testing is certainly not something I've ever needed to do with a desktop PC, but it's a big part of what makes the Envy Move special. Unsurprisingly, the Envy Move's battery life wasn't great when judged against modern laptops anyway.
It lasted about 5 hours in our web browsing test and 5.75 hours in our video looping test. Given its 27-inch display, that's no surprise, and it's long enough to move around and use it in a different space for a few hours before letting it back to its power adapter. Is that good enough battery life? I suppose it all depends on how you use the Envy Move. To my mind, it's just good enough. The Envy Move is nicely designed for its intended purpose. Compared to other AIOs, it's certainly easier to move around, which is a unique value proposition. Bringing this to a copy shop might be ridiculous, but I appreciated being able to easily move from my living room to my home office on battery power. And it's attractively priced, especially when on sale. I only wish the performance and display were better. The design and built-in battery will be enough to sell some on the idea, but the limited performance keeps it not back from greatness.